Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Right Now, my favorite time of the week when I get to hang out with someone and write a cool story. My guest today is Alan Forbes.
Hi.
That was the most official introduction I've ever done. I felt like Seth Meyers. But anyway, we're going to write something, but first, Alan has a campaign that's live
Yes.
that I'm going to pull up right now.
Something I already wrote. Yes.
Every time I do this, I have to relearn how to share. Now I'm not Seth Meyers because it takes me forever to do this. Here we go, right?
Yeah, you need a team. So,
all right. So tell us about Red Cat.
all right. So, Red Cat, celebrity status #1. The first in a 4-issue miniseries that introduces readers to the Vagabond universe. Issue 1 tells of Rick's latest adventures, or Red Cat's latest adventures. Basically, he's a crime fighter at night. He's a stunt actor by day. He's aspiring to be a more an actor with lines. He's trying to get real acting work, and so he's doing stunt work. He's in Vancouver, which is a kind of a meta joke since a lot of superhero TV shows were shot in Vancouver. He's actually doing one that's set in Vancouver. And so you introduce the story of him like doing his stunt work and then going out and patrolling. And he's in Vancouver because he heard that his arch nemesis was there. This guy who's tied to his past. And he finds him, and things don't go exactly as expected. So that's the first issue. And the first 6 pages kind of tease the TV show and then launching into his real adventures. And from there, he goes, what the revelations that come from the end of that, by the end of that issue, lead him in a series of adventures as he tries to unravel this mystery that's been presented to him. So, yeah.
My first question I ask is, I see a lot of stuff in here. What were your main influences? Because you can see a lot of different like blending of characters and styles.
Right. The Red Cat is an homage to the agile characters. So I usually have 2 characters that I really appreciate or really enjoy. I like the tanks, the big strong characters, your Hulks, your Things, your Juggernaut type character. Colossus was always one of my favorite X-Men. But my other favorite X-Men is Nightcrawler, and I love the agile characters. And so this character has a lot of influences: Nightwing and Daredevil and Nightcrawler. A little bit of Spider-Man and stuff like that. And even some of my favorite things about like 80s, 90s martial arts films, movies like The Perfect Weapon and pretty much most of the Van Damme films. A lot of those things kind of influenced that. And the other thing that kind of influenced this was there's comedy. I love to tell fun adventures, action-packed, exciting kind of stuff. And there's a little bit of comedy because there's something to be said about a little bit of chaos. Sometimes people can write their heroes a little too clean. It's like they're always going to win until they don't. I've seen some really interesting movies that by the end of it, you're like, oh my gosh, this character's you get almost exhausted at how much they overcome. Right. With this, I like the one thing I've done in the past is I've used role-playing games to develop ideas. And one of the things that a game introduces that just straight up writing doesn't is a chaos factor, because they're dice. And when the dice get rolled and things don't go as planned, now what do you do? And so in a little way that really comes into play here with Red Cat, where his success is equal parts skill and luck, and things don't always go his way. And so I think that's going to bring a lot of fun to it, a lot of comedy to it, and make it a really entertaining read.
I like the way it seems like you put a lot of the things that you like into it. You know, when you talk about it, you're talking about your own personal stuff, and that's always the best stories. Yeah, because you can actually feel the writer's love for it come through to make it sound all artsy. How long you got left? Let's see. You got 22 days left.
Yep,
seem pretty good. What how many covers you have?
Right now, I have the Kickstarter exclusive cover, and I have a variant virgin cover, semi-virgin cover. Has a very small logo in the corner kind of thing. And that's also the leap cover, as I call it. It's tied to the shirt that I'm wearing, because there's a shirt that features this art as well. Now, this particular issue starts out, and it's interesting because like there's a distinct branding. You can see on my hat, there's a different mask than what's on the character initially on the shirt and stuff, his mask is gonna evolve through the series. He starts out with this one mask, but by the end of it, he ends up with what I consider to be his official branded mask, the one that I developed years ago that has been his look for a long time. But I kind of wanted to show in this origin story how he got to that mask, because the mask itself is cool, but it doesn't necessarily come off as this idea of like having this tradition and origin. It's a very modern mask. So I kind of wanted to make that part of the story as well. So
I do this live stream every week, and I'm never wearing my Grim Space shirt. And so you're like one-upping me by just being a walking billboard. All
a little bit.
That's what you need to do. I don't pimp myself out as much as I should.
It's branding.
There's no reason why I shouldn't wear my own title shirt every time I do this. But
I spent some time in years in the graphic design field and in marketing and advertising and stuff. I learned a lot about branding, and so I take that pretty seriously. I've got a lot of color scheme stuff kind of put in. Excuse me one sec here. I cannot tell you enough. You cannot be down here, honey.
I need your
You need mommy's help.
I need your phone.
I can't. My phone is being used right now for this. I'm so sorry. My 5-year-old is extremely precocious and always curious, and sometimes I have a hard time following instructions.
Yeah, I know what it's like. It's just...
And she doesn't understand that we work very hard to keep our kids off social media in general, because my wife and I are committed to them being able to establish their own social media identities in the future. We don't want to predefine those for them by doing anything with that. So we use like private shared albums to share things with family and friends that we trust, so they get to follow along in their growing up years, but they're not generally, public facing. So
I totally get it. I wish I could. It sounds like so much work. Yeah. I can't. I'm not good with technology. It never really works the way I want it to. So I'm just like, eh.
Well, luckily, both my wife and I have varying degrees of savvy, so we to get between the two of us, we create quite a bit of it. But I worked hard to develop a color scheme. Red, black, and white are the primary colors that I use throughout consistently. With this campaign, I even took it a step further. Most of the promotional art that I'm generating on the fly as I go through this campaign is being done with the same backgrounds. So it kind of links it all together, which is a principle I learned years ago on something else that I did, where I had a bunch of different people producing content, and we used a shared background element so people could recognize that content and have it stand out from others in the marketplace. So there's a lot of thought that goes into that.
Very, very smart. Sounds like you know your stuff. And you know what? How about we get started with what we're here for tonight?
Yeah, let's do that.
In the act of you taking me to school and marketing, school is going to be our theme for today.
Okay.
So the way right now works, if you're watching this for the first time, is Al and I are going to write a story together. I'm going to start writing a sentence. He's going to follow it up. We don't know where we're going to go with it. We're just going to have a good time. But every sentence has to contain a certain element. And I just said school is the element for today. And given that it's September or the end of September and it's back to school month, and I haven't done this yet. So here we are. So I always like to start the story in the place kind of you're doing, because it makes it easier. So how about
yeah. I want to see this first sentence before I ask the question. So
the Mrs. Green. Mrs. Green's fingers felt sweaty. Mrs. Green's fingers felt, sweaty as, I don't know why I'm thinking so hard about this, as she gripped the chalk. So I knew what I wanted her to hold, but I didn't know like what I wanted her to do with it. So just have her hold it. So in this sentence, my class or school element is chalk.
Okay.
They don't even use chalk anymore, do they?
Generally, well, right off the bat, you're establishing that this could be a period piece.
Well, yeah. Well, that's how I think of chalk. That's how I think of teachers. And I don't think of teachers doing the fancy thing anymore. I still think of old school. I guess it depends where you are. You know, there's got to be a lot of schools somewhere that have still have chalkboards. The familiar smell of dust teased her nostrils. So let's get a school element in there.
Oh, okay.
So you got to think of, it could be anything. So rulers, chalkboard, the familiar smell of dust teased her nostrils while she wrote her name on the blackboard. Perfect.
Cool. Okay. All right.
So what's going on here? Teased her nostrils. Oh, she's got some sensory stuff going on. So
Yeah.
how about she didn't know why, but everything was in overload, allowing her to somehow perfectly hear the whispers of students in the back row. So not whispers, students is my class element. And I kind of set us up with a big
Whoops.
What's going on here?
Yeah, it's an
So her senses are in overload.
Yep.
Students are whispering. We've got a lot of directions you could take it with. You could talk about what they're saying. I also kind of threw a wrench into what the tone of the story is. Like, is this a science fiction thing?
Well, when I
think senses in overload, I'm thinking like Lucy with Scarlett Johansson. She had never worked in a building this old before.
I'm not done. I'm thinking.
School year was
already. What's the word I'm looking for? Let's try this one.
And the start of the new school year was already provoking strong emotions. Oh, you didn't want to lean into the sci-fi.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
it doesn't necessarily have to be. I'm always.
I'm vague writing right now, so yeah,
that's fine. She had never worked in a building this old before, and the start of a new school year was already provoking strong emotions. So she hears students in the back row. Are they boys or are they girls?
Yeah. Is it? Ooh.
Boys are more fun, I think.
Oh, who's in the row? Oh, well, so here's the question. We haven't even begun to establish anything about this school other than old building.
No.
And chalk with, a blackboard with chalk.
So, how long before we can ditch the class? The boys whisper. How long before we can ditch this class? No, not the class. This class. The boys whisper. No, put it the other way. The boys whisper. Felt like it came from beside her as this is dumb, but I'm just going to go with it. As it said. How long before we can ditch this class? That's not a great sentence, but I'm going to go with it to move things along. So,
okay, all right.
We're going to have conflict.
Yeah.
Does she ignore it, or does she go?
Well, I don't think she can ignore it. Let's see. How long before we can ditch this class? Let's see here. It's weird. The cursor keeps running around. Okay.
I'm going to drop this down. I have just the thing about starting a new line after.
No, I wasn't sure because we weren't starting a new quote yet. So That's where I was always like, I was debating it myself, so that's good. What do they call that part, the bottom, the base?
The ridge.
Rail.
That's a good one. Yeah. Rail will work as your class element. Rail slowly dusted her hands off as she turned.
And gazed.
When you think of school, what's the first movie that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind when I think of school, work. Crowds.
Oh no, that's I asked the question wrong. What movie? What's the first movie that comes to mind? Is that what I said?
First movie that comes to mind. It's weird that it took me like 3 seconds because I had these different scenes by my head, but the first movie title that popped in my head was Dead Poets Society, which I've never seen fully. So
no, when you were talking about putting the chalk down, I immediately thought of the Faculty.
Okay.
That's an old school.
Yeah.
That's an old school that movie takes place in.
Okay, there's my sentence.
All right, Mrs. Green set the chalk down on the rail and slowly dusted her hands off. She turned and gazed over the rim of her half specs.
Gotta give her that librarian look.
Yeah. I'm gonna give myself a little leeway with this.
Okay.
She stomped. She stomped forward to approach the boy. The heel of her shoe cracking the asbestos tile beneath it. All right, so I'm going to say asbestos tile is my school element because they're in every school.
Yeah. I never thought that tile was asbestos. I always knew that the ceilings had it in it, but that's interesting.
Tiles, yeah. I used to work in the asbestos field, so it was like summers were when it was like asbestos jobs because they were just they used them everywhere.
And it's an old building, so maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet. Or they're
perfect.
Maybe they missed it, right? Okay. She stomped forward to approach the boy, the heel of her shoe, cracking the asbestos tile beneath. Oh my gosh. How strong is she? No, you cannot be here.
I'm almost done.
No, I'm gonna be here a while. You have to go upstairs. You can't. I'm using it. It's gonna be an hour. I can't. You can't. Marianne, this is. I cannot. Okay. Go talk to mommy. Maybe she can do one for you on her phone.
But she doesn't have to do the same time or thing.
No, she could do a song though. She could do a video. Okay, let me make sure that it's in the right place. Traditionally, my daughter uses my phone to time her teeth brushing, so she's very
ritual.
Try this.
I like the ritual.
Yes. All right. She stomped forward to approach the boy, the heel of her shoe cracking. It took a moment for him to realize what is happening.
Took a moment for him to realize what was happening. Desk is a good one.
Went of him slid rapidly away.
I've done this show with a bunch of people. I've never had somebody talk out loud when they write because I do the same thing. And I think it's like very weird and nobody else does it. So I'm finally glad to see somebody who does it.
I don't think I do it all the time, but I think in this scenario, because we're thinking on the fly and we're maintaining conversation, part of my regular day job is presenting information to people all the time. So I'm used to chatting and talking through things. So kind of makes sense.
it does. I mean, when you have a show, like I didn't realize you have to like fill dead air, and just talking while you're typing, it kind of helps.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing I can do is monologue. When I proposed to my wife, I started to kind of prep the ring, and she kind of was surprised when it finally happened because she's like, Al likes to tell, like, Al likes to monologue. Al likes to tell stories. I thought he was just giving a speech, and then all of a sudden there was a ring. So, Bill Thomas, Lee Thomas. Thank you. Yes, much better.
If you want to leave so badly, Billy Thomas, then I think I'm going to. I want to like magically have her manifest a ruler out of nowhere. Like I want her to use that, but she didn't have a ruler in her hand, so it wouldn't really make sense.
Well, maybe she swiped one off the desk. You know, the desk just slid away. You know.
Yeah, she did. That's a good one. Then walk out that door. I don't know.
Pointed.
What are we in? Are we in past tense? Yeah. She scolded the scared child while catching a fallen ruler.
There you go.
I wanted to say falling ruler off the desk. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
A falling ruler that fell off. That doesn't make sense. If I said a falling ruler that fell off the desk. I don't want to say.
Well, how about just a ruler that fell off the desk? Well, catching a ruler that fell off the desk. Leave out the falling part.
Because it's not as dramatic.
I know. Well,
she scolded the scared child while catching a ruler that fell off the desk.
How about a metal ruler? Because those are always a little scarier.
A little scarier. I want to say a long ruler.
A long ruler.
Okay. Makes her look like a witch as she does this. Long ruler that fell off the desk and points it towards the door. And I'm going to change this.
Yep.
And pointed it. Thank you, Grammarly. Then walk out the door.
Then walk out.
If you want to leave so badly, Billy Thomas, then take a hike.
All right. So we're establishing a little more of what type of teacher Mrs. Green is.
She's got a little attitude. We could get much worse with it. Let's see. And if you want to leave so badly, Billy Thomas, then pick your ass up and walking into oncoming traffic. No, we're done with it. No, we're not going to get that dark with it. Then pick your ass up and get out of here. There we go. So badly, Billy Thomas, and pick your ass up and get out of here. She scolded the scared child while catching a long ruler that fell off the desk and pointed towards the door. That's an unnecessarily long sentence, but we're going to leave it.
That works. Hey, this is the first draft, right?
No, it's the final draft on right now. Everything gets published the way it is.
I know. Well, first and final, right?
That's kind of funny. When you live stream something, it's published already as you're doing it because it's
right. There was a thing I saw years ago. It was like a little. It was one of those things going around where it was like it showed the first draft of a long speech, and then the final draft was to be or not to be. And so it was. And if you read the first draft, you're like, wow, I can see how that became much more succinct by the end of it. All right, so figure out let me get out of here. Okay, so we've established scared child long ruler that fell off the desk and pointed towards the door. Billy. Billy. What is Billy gonna do? Billy.
We don't really know what's going on with Mrs. Green either. Right. She's got I don't know. She's maybe she's tweaking on something, or she's got something going on.
There you go.
Billy glanced back and forth between his two conspiring classmates, unsure of how serious this new teacher was. Okay. Classmates is good. Billy glanced back and forth between his two, unsure of how serious this new teacher was. All right. I want to provide an explanation for Mrs. Green's behavior. Like, what's going on with her? Is she just like this all the time? I mean, there's no reason why she couldn't be. There's nothing to indicate this is any different than how she normally is.
Well, we do know she's heightened. We've established that.
Okay.
So I think that there's definitely a sense of low tolerance right now. But then, yeah, why?
Billy glanced back and forth between his two conspiring classmates, unsure of how serious this new teacher was. I just had a sudden thought because, like, Billy didn't know what the conspicuous white powder was, but you're below Mrs. Green's nose. Make her
chalk. It's like chalk.
It's just chalk. No, I don't want to do that, but I do want to give like some indication as to why she's. You know what? I'm going to do something I've never done on the show. I'm going to take a very dramatic turn. Let's see now. What I need a.
Boy, I'm doing a series of firsts today, aren't I?
So, I need a school element. I know what I want to do, but I need a school element to figure out how I'm going to make it work. I mean, are tissues a school element?
What? Tissues?
Tissues. I mean, if you think about it, I remember when I was a kid and they gave you the list of supplies you needed to bring in. Tissues was always on the list.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Tissues, sanitary wipes, or like cleaning wipes, paper towels. Like,
okay, this is what we're gonna do. Unsure of how serious this new teacher was.
I mean, let's think about this for a moment. We've established that it's an old building, but have we established the time frame? Because old buildings would get new supplies if it was present day.
It's possible. He was suddenly shocked when Mrs. Green opened up his desk, removed a tissue, and began bawling into it uncontrollably.
It's funny because, you write a sentence and then you're waiting for the other person to and you're like, the whole time your brain is like, I've got 7 different things that I could.
No, just let it. You got to wait until it's done.
I got it.
You have no idea what's gonna happen.
All right, falling uncontrollably. All right.
Yeah, she just broke down crying.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
In my eyes, that kind of explains why her senses could be heightened. Yeah, like she's like super sad or depressed or.
Right.
What drama? We got drama in the house. His classmate Timmy pushed Billy forward while he chewed on the end of his pencil.
Ha!
Nervously. I don't know where you're going with this, but I like it. I like it.
I don't know where you're going with either. That's the thing. Like we're going back here and it's creating amazing.
Before he knew what I need a school element. What's a good school element? We're running out of stuff. How is it? Like, there's so much stuff we could use, but it's weird to like do it in this context. Like, I could use an eraser or a I don't know, a protractor, but it's like or a pencil sharpener. But in like, what do I fit it into what I wanted to do?
Exactly. The pencil was actually inspired by my oldest son, who for a couple of years chewed up every single pencil.
I think I chewed a pencil when I was like in 3rd grade. Before he knew. I'm just gonna cheat because I want this to happen. This is not a school element, but it's a learning element.
Okay.
Before he knew what was happening, Billy was Billy's arms were wrapped around Mrs. Green, embracing her in a hug as her glasses fell off. So I'm going. Glasses is my school element because I don't know. I needed something.
Hey, you know what? Your game, your rules.
But Billy's arms were wrapped around Mrs. Green, embracing her in a hug as her glasses fell off.
Yeah.
Hello, Mrs. Robinson.
I know, right?
Jesus.
Where's this going?
What's gonna happen next? Cindy. Is Cindy the other friend? I don't know. It was such a cop out, but I love it. Made a diving save before they hit the floor. Oh, so they were about to fall?
You said her glasses fell off.
Okay, I guess I was just thinking boop boop boop, not like oh my god, but it's cool. Cindy, third base catcher on the school softball team, made a diving save before they hit the floor.
I'm just throwing in more characters that we can work with.
I like less characters.
All right. Well, you blasting those, so you got a bunch of characters around here.
I know. They're extras. So when I feel like I'm writing a story like this, I want to wrap it up. I want to have an ending. And the fewer characters I have, the easier it is to wrap things up. I feel like the more characters you have, the more threads you have to kind of tie off.
That's fair.
That doesn't mean you have to not introduce characters. I mean, you could in the next sentence you can name 9 different new people.
No, it's important we establish this though, because this is a collaborative effort, right? So
I know a bunch of my friends who would be on here. It would be their ultimate goal to make this as difficult for me as possible.
And that's the danger of bringing your friends on as opposed to strangers, right?
All right. So,
as I know, my friends would probably be giving me grief too.
From there, chaos unloaded as the cacophony of bodies rolled across the floor, knocking over backpacks from chairs. This is a weird story, man. I think we got to get around to establishing why Mrs. Green cried. We got the action.
You're gonna be mad about this.
It's all right. It's all right. I could find a way to.
At this point,
someone accidentally stepped on Mrs. Green's tail.
I'm gonna let you interject here. Tail or toes? Your choice.
Tail. You wrote tail. It says tail.
All right. We're stuck with tail.
I'm stuck with tail. Oh, I thought it was gonna stop.
Nope.
You don't. You don't have a
I have a school element.
You don't have a school element. That's right. It was at this point someone accidentally stepped on Mrs. Green's tail. You know what the weird thing is I was going to imagine her as a lizard, but the very first sentence said her fingers felt sweaty, and lizards don't sweat, so I can't do that.
No, she's got a very furry creature of some sort here.
See, now things are getting weird.
There you go.
Because I'm thinking he's like an alien, but Elmer's glue is a brand name, so it has to be Earth. It was at this point.
Skull in there, and the Elmer's was just the classic. So
All right.
I could have just blue. We could take Elmer's out if that helps, but
no, it's fine. I'm gonna ruin this for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
I mean, you did say it was about 45 minutes of writing, so I didn't know how quickly we wanted to start getting to the end of this.
Well, you could if it gets too hard, we could wrap it up. But I have a very bizarre idea that I'm gonna go with.
Cool.
It was at this point someone accidentally stepped on Mrs. Green's tail and a bottle of Elmer's glue spilled onto her fur.
As if she wasn't having a bad enough day.
Charlie watched the new Planet of the Apes movie. From the edge of his seat as Mrs. Green's tail and a bottle of Elmer's glue spilled onto her fur.
Well, I see Planet of the Apes. I mean, apes don't have tails.
But monkeys do, and there are monkeys in Planet of the Apes.
Well, there's chimpanzees. There's a rank.
Are we discussing Planet of the Apes canon right now? You're ruining my great idea. Fine. Mrs. Green's tail and a bottle of Elmer's glue spilled onto her fur.
It was time to rate it in.
It was getting out of hand.
I started writing in high school a novel that had this same premise, except that you were supposed to write a short story that started with this sentence. And the sentence was, the noise was growing louder as blank approached the stairs. And I took that and started basically writing a novel around this kid in his room who suddenly discovers he's somehow been transported to the future. And so it went off the rails very quickly. But it was a sentence that was so innocuous to start with. Nice. I think school bus is one word. I'd have to double check that. Magic school bus. I'd have to look it up, but
so sorry, everyone. Did I claw my way out of it?
Well, we've now deeply established this universe in a way. So the question is,
I mean, it fills the qualifications. She has a tail.
Right.
She could have sweaty fingers.
Yeah.
The glue is Elmer's, and she was crying. Why was she crying?
Right.
So
okay.
I put a explanation on
here. I was all ready to talk about, well, she's a Mrs., so maybe that's why she's crying. Where's that gonna go, right?
I that would be hilarious, but I gotta keep canon. I need everything to make sense in the end.
So kind of magic school was inspired dress, although that might be a dash in there, but that's okay. I thought I could live amongst you humans as a hybrid, but it's too hard.
Oh no! I inspired dress and went on.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Go ahead. When you're ready.
It's you're go.
Yeah. Okay.
Cindy's scales glistened as she approached her teacher gently.
Gently. No.
I mean, you could, after glistens, you can put like.
You know what?
I don't know what are those lights called? The fluorescent lights. Schools have fluorescent lights.
Right. Well.
That could take care of your school element.
Yeah. the no, it's early in the morning. Sunlight. Wait, gently glistened. Catching. Yeah, it's glistened. Sunlight.
Let's just drop this down. New power. Cindy scouts listen, catching something you should push.
Early shadows across the desks. Loaded with brand new.
Let me see. Textbooks. Glisten, catching the sunlight.
All right. I'm establishing that Cindy's up next. You get to decide what Cindy's going to do.
Cindy.
We already know Cindy's quick. Like a snake.
It's okay. I know.
I feel like we're writing a children's book. It's
I know it must be tough.
It's a YA story.
Green. I know it must be tough, Mrs. Green, but as a hybrid myself, it feels good knowing I
am not alone.
Have someone like myself. I could get my school element in here. I'm just trying to think.
To learn from?
Learn would be my school element.
Yeah.
To learn from.
I read an interesting article the other day talking about the origin of the disdain for the dangling preposition and how it was basically this notion of some 1500s, 1600s author who just hated them, and people just latched onto it, even though it wasn't like really a rule or anything. He just decided he didn't like them, and all of a sudden people decided that he must be right, and they didn't like him, and there was no like logic in it.
Language is a weird thing. There are no rules. The only rule is the shared rule. You know, if I say something and you understand it, that's all really that matters. Yeah. You know, so that's my philosophy towards English.
Yep. No cap. That's so is. No, okay. Yeah, you gotta love it. So I'm fascinated with that kind of stuff, though. I have a decent vocabulary, probably bigger than average, but I won't claim to be like amazing or anything. But I live for it. I'm a punster at heart. I'm an improvisational punster. I don't keep puns in my back pocket. I pun on the fly. But I love playing with words. So it feels good knowing I have someone like myself to learn from. And he said with us.
So, we're getting some real pathos going on here.
Oh, I want to keep that sentence going. Okay, hold on. Smile. I said with a smile, did I hit period? Okay, space, quotes. Oh. Okay, no. Smile.
What's the next? We made this story super hard for ourselves with all these weird things going on. I know mostly toughness is green, but it's a hybrid, and we're gonna wrap it up. We'll do 3 for 3 after this. I mean, it's kind of like it's weird. It's quirky, but it's cute quirky. Yeah, like a children's book. When I first started, I thought I was going for like The Faculty. I had that in my mind. We're making like some sci-fi thriller or something, but it's gotten kind of oddly sweet.
There.
kids rolling around.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
After all, the more of us who take a chance and enroll in the system, the easier it will be, right? So that easier is doing a lot of work.
Yeah. In a good way, right?
So it could go a lot of different ways. So we're going to do 3 for 3 now, which basically means we have 6 sentences left. I have 3, you have 3. We're going to keep doing the same thing and try to put a bow on this.
Okay.
After all, the more of us who take a chance and enroll in the system, the easier it will be, right? I'm gonna put up a I'm gonna throw up. This is gonna just be a layup, just a nice easy sentence to kind of set the to answer the question as to what easier means.
Right. I'm getting Zootopia vibes in a way, but almost weird, sort of like Zootopia meets like humans. Like humans didn't go away; the animals just kind of evolved up with us.
This is so much level of exposition in one sentence. It's going to be cringe, but I'm going to do it anyway.
It's all right.
Cindy was obviously referring to the recent integration of science experiments into the.
Of all the possible origins, I was like, "That's a good one." That's
I was obviously referring to the recent integration of science experiments into the public, causing the district superintendent. That's going to be my school element. I don't know how to spell this word. Superintendent.
Yep.
Hey, great! They fixed it for me.
They did.
Causing the district superintendent to allow hybrid children and teachers to work in, how about just hybrid children to enroll in school? So I have 2 sentences left. You have 3.
Okay.
And I'm giving like I don't know. This is like robot overlord vibes. The robots revolted, and now we need to integrate them into society.
I'm pretty sure there actually. This reminds me of that zombies series on Disney. My kids just watched it, and I was watching.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that new where that's like they're like, we're gonna make them part of that, and it was like,
dude,
Juliet.
The premiere of Zombies 3 was a big event in my house.
Yeah, so my kids were just watching the first one, so I got to see the first one, and I was like, all right, that's typical, that's cute. Yeah, my son is obsessed with zombies, just obsessed with them, and
I know the words to all the songs. I know all the characters. Zombies is my jam.
Okay, all right. This is
zombies. I love how they had to keep introducing new elements into it. Like first they had zombies, and now zombies weren't enough, so then they did werewolves, and then werewolves weren't enough, so then they did aliens. It was just like it got more and more ridiculous as it went on, but it was a lot of fun. Mrs. Green straightened up as Billy offered a container of cleaning wipes. Bitch, we made a mess. Clean it up. Straight up as Billy offered a container of cleaning wipes. And other kids quickly
to straighten up the desks and chairs. There.
All right.
Wait, no. Let me do this real quick. The straighten was bothering me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine too. Gotta mix it up.
Reset the desks and chairs. Okay,
and
there you go. Your turn. That's now we each got 2.
Sorry. Oh, we're gonna get sweet now. I'm sorry, Mrs. Green. Billy lamented. Thank you. While I'm gonna cheat again some more while wiping up some spilled applesauce on the floor.
Applesauce.
Schools have applesauce.
Yep, they do. The reason I keep catching those greens is because we have a street near us called Green Road, and at one end it goes between these two towns. It's like on the border between these two towns. It crosses the border, and on the one side, the street sign says green without an E. On the other side, it says green with an E, and it really represents the pretentiousness of the neighboring town versus the town I live in.
Although wait, is it considered the same street, or is it technically two different streets?
No, it's the same street. It just they dropped the E on our side for a while, and then they eventually fixed it. But I had to laugh because I'm like, that says everything you need to know about the two towns. Okay, so that was your second one to last. So now I got to go with okay.
This is getting a nice sweet ending we got going on.
Hold on.
And Cindy took out a knife and stabbed Mrs. Green in the throat.
Hey, I'm ahead here. Hold on.
That's okay, Billy, Mrs. Green replied with a sly smile, dabbing the glue from her.
Pause.
So we can't use the same elements twice.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Okay.
Well, what's a synonym for glue? Adhesive. Works. That's okay, Billy, Mrs. Green replied with a sly smile, dabbing the adhesive from her paws. Equals. That's fine. You could end it there if you wanted.
No. That adhesive from her paws.
I've already eaten today. Okay. I want to add something to this previous sentence because I wasn't going to, but based on the format of your sentence, I want to now. Sorry, Mrs. Green. I really don't want. I was just kidding about ditching. There you go. Provides more context for Billy's characterization.
Well, what's great about this is we can leave this sentence up to the reader's discretion because the eaten today could be a reference to the applesauce, or it could be a reference to
kids.
The hybrids will eat people.
It is a sentence that at this point requires no clarification.
Yes, exactly. All right,
we can totally leave it open.
You went back up, but it's your last sentence.
Yeah, I know. Okay. It's cool because you're right. It's something that the characters know what they're referring to, but we don't. So we don't have to explain it because they know.
Yeah.
You know?
Dig it.
That's okay, Billy. Mrs. Green replied with a sly smile, dabbing the adhesive from her paws. Already eaten today. I'm gonna get rid of this. Into the public, causing the district superintendent, because I'm going to use district in this sentence.
I see.
I'm playing God. I'm like the Beyonder, and this is my secret was.
This is
That's okay, Billy.
I'm just playing in your sandbox.
The rest of the day was spent productively as Mrs. Green taught and the children learned in this new kind of school district. Sweep it up after me. So I gave you a layup for your last sentence. You could really, you got like, we're not in the classroom anymore. You know, we're outside of it. So you like have a whole range of different words to use, or I should say, school elements to use. What are we at? We're at 55 minutes. Pretty good time. Munster High, like the cheese.
I told you, puns.
So you have a young daughter. Do you watch what's it called? Vampirina.
I have seen Vampirina, yes.
I like the fact that Vampirina and Vampirella are so similar in name drives me nuts. I'm like, that's if you mix those two up, you're gonna get two totally different things. I don't know why your Monster High made me think of Vampirina.
Oh, it totally fits. And the idea is like, you know, they couldn't call it Monster High, but that would be the name of the show.
Yeah.
It would be called Monster High, but the actual school wouldn't be called Monster High. It would be called Monster High, and that would be the play, the joke. It's so Disney at that point, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna throw School Day. No, not that school.
Well, I already had
Monster. Oh, Monster High, is that your school element?
My school.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It's the name of this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Little extra bonus round. I like to play with everybody.
Sure.
What? Guess the word count.
Whoa. Okay. It doesn't automatically tell me. That would be a cheat, right? Guess the word count.
You can have a setting on Google Docs that will tell you as you're typing. I don't have it on mine, so you could, if you do have it on yours, you could cheat. But
I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say word count. I want to say it's going to be in the 8 to 10 range. 1,000. No. 50,000. No. Let's say. Do
you want me to give you a baseline?
No. 1,500.
Not even close.
Not even close.
It'll probably be like 620.
620. Okay. All right.
Let's see. 574.
574. Oh man. This is why I never do the guess the jelly bean games.
Well, I've done this a bunch of times, so I know what like the range is going to be.
Right.
It's usually I should probably go first. But it's more fun. It's more fun to have somebody else go.
That's totally fine.
All right. So tell us one more time about Red Cat, Alan.
So Red Cat Celebrity Status #1 is live on Kickstarter until October 22nd. We're 39%, so over a third of the way at the end of the first week and a day. It's 28 pages of story. Beautifully 3D rendered graphic art, highly entertaining, and definitely makes you want more. There's some great reviews on there for that. There's some really cool rewards: t-shirt, hats, comics. I've got a Green Lantern fanfic comic that I did that is going to be free to everyone who pledges. Even if I don't fund this comic, this digital comic is going to be free to everyone. It's something I did for my best friend's birthday. Turned him into a Green Lantern and told a one-shot story that I'm not quite done with yet, but there's a little tease of that.
You had that on here?
No, because it's Green Lantern. It's not really mine to promote. So that's just.
I mean, Kickstarter doesn't really. I mean, they have fan comics on here funding, which is pretty ridiculous. But
and I do have just some cool rewards. I've done a couple other projects. So there's like for the higher end reward, I've got some signed issues of Big Bang Adventures #5 and 12, where I did some Megaton prequel stories. And I think it's really cool. And I've even got a soundtrack. If you listen to the music in the project video, there's 4 or 5 or 6 songs that I'm going to be releasing as like an EP with it as well. So that I created and made myself and everything. So
very cool. And tell everybody if they want to follow you where they can find you and stalk you.
So I have an Instagram, Vagabond Allen. I'm on Facebook, Vagabond Allen. We also have a Vagabond Creative Entertainment page on Facebook. And I have a DeviantArt profile, Vagabond Allen, as well. And then vagabondcreative.com is the website where you can sign up for the email subscriber list to find out more about Red Cat and other projects in the future. So,
yeah. Thanks for coming on. This was fun. This was definitely a weird one. It was a challenging one. It was, you know what? I think it was the most wholesome story I've done on this show. So, and that's odd because it didn't start that way. It oddly did not start that way at all.
Well, and I'm not even sure. I think the school element contributed to it, and I think that.
Oh no! I'll kill those kids. That's not. There's not there's no reason it has to end with a happy ending just because children are involved.
Well, here's what I can promise: if I'm successful and my publishing house does take off, at some point my best friend will be joining us, and I guarantee he will provide you with some very scary thoughts. So, and this. Taken a very different turn if he had been involved.
Well, until next time. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
Adios.